Welcome back, viewers. My name is JONAH SIMBA, and this is the Treasures of Life show. And my sign language interpreter is Gideon Minor. I'm talking to you today about the power of a story. Your story. How important is your story to the society? Many of us waste our stories. We do not realize that in those stories lies the potential for great visions. It is in those stories that you birth the future. Where you are from may describe where you're headed to. Did you not know that we are born looking like our parents, but we die looking like our choices? You need to make a choice today. Making choice is a fact. Choose today the kind of story you want for your life. You may want a change of a certain type. It can only come when you look back to your story. I always talk about how our history is sometimes painful, where we've been. For some reason, many of us do not want to associate with the pains of the past. It is good to disconnect. It is important to disconnect. But unless you learn some lessons from it, then you've wasted it. Every encounter, every issue of life that you've gone through should be used as a stepping stone for the future. You may have gone through something as an organization, as a company, as a nation. You do not need to waste it. You need to learn from the history of your country so that next time in future, you do not repeat it. Because one thing about the nature of life is that things repeat themselves. And cutting those repetitions should be a deliberate effort from you and from me. There are things that will always look for a way of repeating itself. There is a pattern, a certain pattern that may want to come to a nation, control that nation. This is how we are as a country. We are always at war. We are always at civil war. We are always never in agreement. We are always in tribalism mode. We are always in strife. You try to acquire a certain culture, but you do not realize that in that story of strife, of tribalism, of civil war and civil strife, there is a potential for you to break free and come up victorious for the future. Nations have done it before. They have broken from cycles of war. Families have done it before. They have broken from cycles of poverty, drunkenness, addictions, and they have made it to greater heights. By the way, this is a tip for a mentor. It is in your story that you open up to those that you want to lead. If you are in a society and you want to change the direction of that society, you want to be an influencer, it is in your story that you influence a society. Many times, people are sympathetic to wounded people. That is the nature of life. There is another side of life that wants to put the wounded down, the people that have hurt. They want to put them down. That is a certain type, a certain angle. But there is another angle where those that are wounded and those that are hurting open up with a story, and they open up to sympathy. Sympathy, more often than not, opens up the door of empathy. So as you start crying out and opening up, you should not be afraid of bringing out your inner pain, inner emotion. Find a way of bringing out that pain. You may be going through some kind of sorrow. Try and speak it out. When you speak it out, you open up to freedom. You may have encountered rape before. You may have encountered abuse, emotional abuse. You may have encountered psychological abuse. You may even have encountered religious abuse. Unless you start describing those feelings with words, find a way of describing them. There is power in words. Try and bring it out. Try and speak it out. And I know I'm even speaking to those that probably cannot speak with their tongues, but at least you can speak with actions. Find a way of bringing it out. Ventilation is a door for freedom. It is when you ventilate that you open up to some kind of somebody listening. It is, you first have to find a way of, asking for permission. Find a way, to somebody. Look for somebody that is ready to listen to you. There are people that will listen to your story and bring you down. There are people that will listen to your story and they are not good mentors. They will take your story and hurt you the more. It won't be good for you to share your story in such environments. Look for places where you can find permission. Look for a place where you can speak out your story. Open up to somebody, a professional counselor, a pastor, a religious leader, a father or a mother, a friendly person. Don't just open up your story to anybody. Many times when you open up your story to the wrong places, it will fire back. It will come back to you in a negative way. It will backfire, for lack of a better word. Find a place where you will share your story, and that story will come back to you and mend you. I'm looking at you rectifying you first. Before now you get out to the society with your story and try to counsel and try to mend people and try to, shape the society. You need to be shaped first. So look for your story. Look for your adjectives. Look for your emotional pains and speak it out somewhere. Remember, the Treasures of Life show is a place for growth of souls. This is a place where we raise up souls. Remember, I'm very deliberate in the use of the word raising up, because sometimes we imagine that just by growing physically, we are also growing emotionally. That is a big error. We need to be raised up emotionally. We need support. You cannot just automatically grow. We imagine that because we've landed money, we are now good. Many times it is dangerous to be rich, to be wealthy, before you've grown up, you've been raised up in some certain schools. You need to be raised up in the school of empathy, in the school of pride, in the school of leadership, before you are opened up to some kind of things in your life. I'm bringing up to you some mysteries of life. It appears like a mystery, but you need to learn there is a mystery of growing up fast, being raised up fast, before you step up into some areas of success. There are people that are successful in an area of maybe finances. They are so successful, but they never were raised up in their emotions on how to handle pride, on how to handle arrogance, on how to handle terror and terrorism, on how to handle some emotional issues. It is dangerous for power to be placed in the hands of somebody that never grew up in a certain area of emotions. A king that is rogue is dangerous. That is why when you look at monarchies, I'm using the example probably of the British monarchy. The king is raised, the queen is raised. You are targeted in the area of your emotional growth, because one day you will reach a level where you have power in your hands. Power without emotional growth is dangerous. And remember, even as a father or a mother, that is a position of power. Abusive fathers are people that have not grown in a certain area of their soul. Abusive mothers are people that have not grown in a certain area of their souls. You can end up mistreating your husband or your wife if you never grew up, if you are never raised up. People tell me, or they ask this question, why are fathers and mothers important? You know, a child without a father, a child without a mother is missing out on something. That is why you should also always empathize with an orphan, someone who's never had an opportunity to be raised up by a father and a mother. Because when they get into that position of power, they never were mentored, they never were raised up in how to deal with some issues of life. Now they end up in a position of power where now they are the fathers and the mothers, but nobody taught them, nobody raised up how to be a father or a mother. This is the power of a story. When you see your father going through financial struggle, when you see your mother going through emotional issues, you grow up as a daughter of responsibility. There are things that are taught without words. There are things that you learn just by seeing, just by hearing, just by experiencing. Those are very rich things. Those are very deep things. Those are things that you encounter as you go through the journey of life. That is why, as you move through the journey of life, don't waste your experiences. Somebody needs it. Are you tired of being lonely? Are you tired of being abused, frustrated? Are you tired of being poor? That is, you are now a candidate for the next level. You need that story to move to the next level. The power of a story demands that after you've gained permission, you've gained that permission to share your story, now you open up with the adjectives of what describes you. After you've opened up, now say where you are right now as a successful businessman. The tips, start sharing it. You will be surprised at how open people will be open and ready to share. How people will be ready to learn from you. As a leader, you need to share your experiences.